discuss about chargeability section of income from house property, that is section 22. What is given in chargeability section? First thing, the annual value of the property is taxable. Annual value of the property is taxable under the income from house property. Okay, so first condition is annual value of the property consisting of building and land appurtenant thereto. So the annual value of the property consisting of building and land appurtenant thereto. Already we discussed that building is there. Okay, and maybe land appurtenant thereto means what? Land which is attached to that building. Okay, so if there is a vacant plot in that situation, the income received from that vacant plot is not chargeable under the income from house property. It is chargeable either under the head profit and gain from business and profession, or either under the head income from other sources. So the basic condition is that annual value of the property is taxable, not actual rate is taxable. Annual, we have to compute annual value of the property. So today we are going to discuss how to compute the annual value of the property consisting of building and land appurtenant thereto, of which third condition is that assessee must be the owner of that property. Okay, basic condition. Assessee must be the owner of that property. Already we discussed that. If any person let out his property to someone and then that person also let out that property, which we call as a sublet out. In the case of subletting property, the income received by the tenant from subletting of the property is taxable either under the head income from other sources or under the head profit and gain from business and profession. And the fourth condition is that the property must not be utilized by assessee for business and profession. Okay, these are the four conditions for charging the income under the head income from house property. Okay, annual value of the property is taxable. Okay, not actual rate. So we have to compute annual value of the property. Secondly, building and land appurtenant thereto. Annual value of the property, but which property? So building. Okay, and land appurtenant thereto. Of which assessee. Now who is assessee? Okay, yesterday we also discussed that any person can become the assessee. Okay, it means if there is a company can also earn income under that income from house property. In case of firm can also earn income under that income from house property. So assessee must be the owner of that property. Okay, so we discussed that if Mr. A let out his property to Mr. B and Mr. B let out this property to C, this is called as sublet out, and this is the let out property. Okay, now who is the actual owner of the property? Mr. A is the actual owner of property. So when Mr. A receives rent from Mr. B, that rent is taxable under the head income from house property. But when Mr. B receives income from Mr. C as a rent, that rent is taxable either from income from other sources or under the head profit and gain from business and profession. Okay, and another important thing is that property must not be utilized by the assessee for the business and profession. Okay, it means if Mr. A utilizes this property as a business or profession, just we discussed in the last lecture that in case of hotels, when hotel owner gives rooms on rent to someone, the rent received from that room is taxable under the head profit and gain from business and profession, because hotel is business of that person. Okay, that's why it is clearly stated that property must not be utilized by the assessee for the purpose of business and profession. So these are the basic conditions which are given under chargeability section of 22 of income from house property. Second thing is that yesterday we also discussed about deemed owner. Okay, who is deemed the owner? We discussed yesterday. Okay, in case of in case any person transfer his property to his spouse or his child without adequate consideration, in that situation that person is treated as a owner, deemed owner. What do you mean by deemed? Deemed means assumed to be the owner of that property. So we discussed in the last lecture that if Mr. A transfer his property to his wife, Mrs. A, okay, without adequate consideration, without sufficient consideration, he transfer property to Mrs. A. Now, if we see that Mrs. A is the actual owner of that property, then also the income received or rent received by Mrs. A from this property is taxable under the head Mr. A. Okay, because Mr. A transferred this property to his wife without sufficient or adequate consideration. Okay, so that's why though actual owner is who? Actual owner is Mrs. A. Then also income is taxable under the hand of Mr. A. Mr. A is assumed as owner of that property, deemed owner. Second thing, holder of impartible estate. Holder of impartible estate, just like in Hindu undivided family. Okay, so in Hindu undivided family, membership given by birth in the family. Then also the complete property is in the hands of Karta. So Karta is assumed to be the owner of that property. In case of cooperative societies, already yesterday we discussed that. In case of cooperative society, the actual owner of the properties in that society is cooperative society, and cooperative society allotted the houses to the members of that society. Okay, so though cooperative society is actual owner of that houses which are there in the society, then also the person to whom that house or that property is allotted or the share is allotted, that person is assumed as owner of that property. And if property is given on lease for more than 12 years, okay, in that situation also the person, the lessee, okay, already I told you that in case of leasehold property there are two properties, lessor and lessee. The person to whom property is given on lease is called as lessee, and the person who gives property on lease is called as lessor. Okay, so the lessee, though he is not actual owner of that property, but lessor gives him property for more than 12 years, in that situation lessee is assumed as owner of the property. Okay, and last we discussed that when a possession is given to someone of the property, though actual ownership is not given, but possession of the property is given. Already we discussed that when any incomplete construction is there and a flat is allotted to someone, but without ownership, transfer of ownership, the possession of the flat is given, but the ownership is not yet given to that person, then also that person is assumed as owner of that property, and if he earn income from that property, that income is taxable under the head of income